Well, our top story today from the GatewayPundit.com. Here it is. House Republicans released Trump-approved tax plan. The one big, beautiful bill tips overtime and family paychecks to get a huge boost. We're covering this story and so much more here on the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review. My name is Elijah Schaffer, and this is the Gateway Pundit's Week in Review, where we cover the top 5 stories of the last 24 hours. Our top story today is coming out big and strong. We're talking about massive tax cuts, apparently, for the American middle class. Jim Hoff reports this developing story. House Republicans on the Ways and Means Committee, led by Chairman Jason Smith, have released the text of a monumental new tax reform package titled the One Big Beautiful Bill. The bill, strongly backed by President Donald Trump, is aimed at delivering historic cuts to American families, workers, and small businesses. The 389-page bill includes a long list of pro-growth, America First provisions that echo many of the successful features of the 2017 Trump tax cuts, this time with added firepower. The major tax cuts and extensions, the extension of individual tax cuts, makes the Trump-era tax rate reductions permanent, eliminating the 2025 expiration. Its increased standard deduction extends the increased standard deduction and adds a temporary $1,500 boost for individuals and $1,000 for head of households. There's an enhanced child tax credit. It boosts the child tax credit from $2,000 to $2,500 through 2028. Requires Social Security numbers for eligibility. There's no tax on tips. Creates a full income tax deduction for tips earned in traditionally tipped industries, waitresses, hairdressers. There's no tax on overtime pay. Allows workers to deduct qualified overtime compensation from their taxable income, excluding high earners, also through 2028. It adds a $4,000 bonus standard deduction for seniors with moderate incomes, $75K for single and $150K joint cap. I love that's like moderate incomes is like 6 figures now. That's crazy. It increases the Section 199A deduction from 20% to 23% for pass-through business income. Oh, let's go. Makes the deduction permanent beyond 2025. Okay, so basically going to be getting like a 3% deduction on permanent on my business taxes. Guys, as a small business owner, you don't want to see how much money we send to the government. It is disgusting. So 3% is a lot of money. Expanded estate and gift tax exemption, triples the exemption from $5 million to $15 million. This has to do, I think, actually with farms and inheriting farms. I'm pretty sure to prevent what happened in England. You also ends the deduction for personal exemptions, continues to eliminate personal exemptions past 2025. There's a limit on itemized deductions, caps itemized deduction benefits at 37% tax rate threshold. Permanently allows certain miscellaneous items deductions, so that's not good. Casualty loss and mortgage interest limits, extends Trump-era limitations on these deductions. Plus, you are able to have account enhancements, continues increased contributions, and allows 529 rollovers in ABLE accounts. Savers credit applies to ABLE contributions. You also get ABLE accounts, extends increased contribution limits and savers credit eligibility, and allows continued rollovers from 529 college plans to ABLE accounts. Now, when we talk about this, in retrospect to what's really going on in this country, what's going on in this world, right? You might think, oh, this is a really good thing that's happening. And I hope it is. But as we talked about yesterday on the show, we are in a Republican-led majority government, and at the same time, they're not really doing anything to help the people. Now, Trump did promise tax cuts, so if he does come through it, that is great, but I'd like to see the income tax abolished, right? That's what I'd like to see, because then I'm going to go move to California. Because it's like, oh, then my tax rate's only 15% there. I'm going. I'm back. But, when you have federal and state tax together, this is robbery of the American public, especially single men. Unmarried single men get screwed. They don't even make a lot of money sometimes, and they still get like 24% tax rates. It's crazy. It's like, well, just because I'm by myself doesn't mean I want to be poor alone. I'm trying to get married. I'm trying to get a wife. Why don't we help young men get financially stable so they can get married? A good question. That being said, obviously, the Trump never surrender gold sneakers are a bold, patriotic statement with a gold finish and red and white blue accents. They're comfortable, durable, and lightweight, and they're perfect for daily wear and sparking conversations. These never surrender slogan inspires resilience, making them ideal for Trump supporters or bold style lovers. Now check it out. They're also limited to only 1,000 numbered pairs. They're exclusively collectible. Grab yours at themagaoffers.com/GP. That's THEMAGAOFFERS.com/GP. with up to 15% off using your Pundit's link. Act fast. They're selling out now. The link's on the screen right here and in the description. themagaoffers.com/GP for 15% off today. And that being said, it's quite interesting. You can also see the picture. There they are. Beautiful sneakers. Make sure you check them. Those are really cool. Those are cool, man. You should get those for your nephews, your nieces, whatever it is. You should grab a pair. Now, that being said, in a bizarre instance, a man is busted from stealing historic cannon from a park to pay off his drug dealer. Yeah, we have the story for you here. We'll play it in just a moment. But we're stealing things to pay back our drug dealers. I don't know if I should say hell yeah or what the hell's happening in our country. Watch.
Court documents allege the Spanish-American War cannon stolen from a Wichita park was taken to settle a drug debt. New information came to light today in the probable cause affidavit for Gordon Pierce III. That bronze cannon disappeared from Riverside Park at the beginning of April. Investigators followed gouge marks in the road to a house on North Woodland. The person who lived there said Pierce put the cannon in his garage. After tracking Pierce down, he allegedly admitted to using a chain and an SUV to break the cannon off the pedestal in the park and using a Sawzall to cut it into several pieces. Court documents show Pierce told officers that he owed his drug dealer $20,000, so he was looking for statues to steal to come up with the cash. Pierce is charged with theft and aggravated criminal damage to property.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. I mean, he stole a cannon, which is technically an act of war. I mean, touche on him. If I had to come up with $20,000, I probably would just be the Federal Reserve and print it for myself if I had the choice. But if I didn't have the choice and I need to spend $20,000 on my drug dealer, I don't know what I would do. Now, I have something worse than drug debt. It's called student loan debt. And the people that I owe it to are worse than drug dealers. They are predatory lenders. So I still owe that. You know, I had about 200 grand in student loan debt. I have about 26 grand left. I've paid most of that off over the last like 3 or 4 years. But man, the fact that you can even get an 18-year-old kid into like 200 grand of debt when he can't even, they don't let you buy a house, by the way. You can't get into debt to buy a home or like buy equity or some sort of investment. But if you want to waste money and, you know, buy clothes on a credit card or go, you know, get an education that doesn't have any value, then you end up, you can get into as much debt as you want. It's really disgusting. And then you're stuck working a crappy job the rest of your life just to pay off those student loans. But I digress. Anyway, the Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor let her partisan mask slip in the comments. We can't lose the battles we are facing, Mike LeChance reports. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor was recently speaking at an event for the American Bar Association when she took a not so thinly veiled shot at President Trump, saying, "But right now we can't lose the battles we are facing." We? Who's we, Justice Sotomayor? Everyone knows that Sotomayor is one of the most liberal justices on the nation's highest court, but Supreme Court justices traditionally have tried to at least appear as if they're above partisan politics. This comes just as Chief Justice Roberts made some questionable comments of his own. Sotomayor says that lawyers should stand up and fight amid turmoil in the nation's legal system. She said Thursday that lawyers should stand up and fight in battles faced by the nation's legal system, comments that came amid attacks on federal judges and President Donald Trump's targeting of elite law firms in executive orders. Our job is to stand up for the people who can't do it themselves, and her job is to be the champion of lost causes, she said. But right now, we can't lose the battles we are facing, and we need trained and passionate, committed lawyers to fight this fight. Sotomayor didn't mention the president as she spoke at an event in the nation's capital, hosted by a section of the American Bar Association, which has also been targeted by Trump. The liberal justice's remarks come a day after conservative Chief Justice John Roberts defended judicial independence as necessary to check the excess of Congress or the executive at an appearance in Buffalo, New York. George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley commented on this, saying, "The we left many surprised and concerned that we jurist was rallying the left as a type of constituency. She declared that we need trained and passionate, committed lawyers to fight this fight. For me, being here with you is an act of solidarity." Clearly, such comments are subject to different interpretations. Newspapers like the New York Times made the obvious connection, stating that it was made against the backdrop of immense stress on lawyers and the legal system from the Trump administration. The message was lost on activists who heralded Justice Sotomayor's support for the aggressive, or it was not lost, pro-democracy movement is so important at an all-critical time. Court-sanctioned lawyer and Democratic activist Mark Elias added, "She understands that while we must bring difficult cases and be willing to lose, we must always fight to win." And by lending her voice in solidarity, she affirmed that it is our time to stand up and to be heard. Now, it's no surprise that Justice Sotomayor, would let the cat out of the bag, per se, as she is in and of herself, a very highly progressive justice. But, it's a very, very interesting and typical position for especially older generations of Americans. Some of them, maybe you may be part of the older generation, to sort of trust in institutions still, right? To think like, oh, the Supreme Court is not partisan and they're looking out for our best interests, but they aren't, right? Why did they legalize gay marriage? Was that really looking out for the majority of Americans? Was that doing something, biblically or morally correct for the nation? No, it was a choice the Supreme Court made to legalize gay marriage to accelerate the degeneracy of our country. And look, I know I work with gay people, and I understand people are gay, and I'm not here like preaching out, hey, all gay people should be arrested or killed or something to that extreme. What I am saying, though, is that, gay people had civil unions. We didn't need to desecrate marriage, because once you desecrate marriage, then now you have drag queens reading to children. Now you desecrate anything that's sacred or innocent and cute. And I say that because I have 2 little boys, and they are so precious, man. I love them to death. That being said, I want to remind you guys that Warren Buffett just invested over $50 billion into energy. Billionaire Ken Griffin increased his oil investments by 150%. Even Elon Musk says we can't live without oil. But here's what Wall Street isn't telling you. There's a smarter way to profit from oil than buying stocks. It's a unique investment that lets you collect monthly royalty checks from America's richest oil fields. You're not buying shares in a company, you're getting direct ownership of oil-producing properties. And you can just start right now with only $25. You got $25? Start investing today. You can learn more about the #1 oil royalty play for 2025 at ElijahOil.com. That's ElijahOil.com to discover how to collect monthly oil royalty checks starting today. ElijahOil.com. Find the link on the screen and in the description and invest today. Now, that being said, in other news, leftist protesters arrested after a violent clash with law enforcement at Newark ICE facility. Christina Lila reports that far-left protesters blocking the gates of Delaney Hall ICE facility in Newark, New Jersey, were arrested after a violent clash with police on Monday. We have footage of this altercation. Check it out. Here they are being arrested.
Anything else you want to say before you go away?
Are you bringing her?
Yes. Okay. Let all the immigrants free. Nobody is illegal.
Nobody is illegal while you're being arrested by cops. People can be illegal. It's called the illegal status. It exists in every developed country in the world, possibly even the underdeveloped countries, where you are not granted access to the nation because nations are not amusement parks. But even amusement parks require you to have tickets, or then you're trespassing, which is illegal. So this is a very well understood thing. If you are, we don't want a bunch of poor people coming into our country to take from our tax system, but it's nice. Okay, then why don't you pay for everyone around you to eat every day? Money is finite. We can't just do everything we want or that we would feel good. Plus, why would we worry about feeding poor people when we can get new iPhones? Right? And that's the American way, truly. I mean, we do spend a lot of money. We waste a lot of money. That's sarcasm for those that don't get my jokes. But yeah, we spend a lot of money on useless things. But at the same time, really, here's more people getting arrested. I do love watching this.
Hold on. I can record. We just need y'all to back up. Right here.
Man, it must be tough to be a cop in a place like Newark. Imagine dealing with that like today. I already have the most cynical personality, and I am dead inside, right? And all I do is just talk about the news. Imagine having to deal with those people every day. Man, God bless our men in blue. Now, that being said, MSNBC's Yamiche Alcindor whines after 59 white South African refugees waving American flags arrive in the U.S. Listen to this. We have the full clip for you. Watch.
Trump administration there saying that essentially these white South Africans assimilate better and they're also not as much of a security risk. That's really causing a lot of people to be appalled, frankly. And I also should tell people that this violence that they're talking about that are dealing with these Afrikaners, I've been hearing from people that say there is violence in South Africa, but it's affecting everybody of every single race, Katie. Trump administration there.
Okay, so what I want to remind you that you always notice it's minorities talking about how they're mad about white South African, Afrikaners coming in. I'm just going to be clear with Matt Walsh and the rest at Daily Wire. Look, they hate white people, okay? These people are, it's not communism. It's not intersectional communism. It's not, DEI. It is anti-white propaganda, okay? They hate white people and they want you to not have any authority or power in your country, and they want to kill you. They want other countries to become like South Africa. This is why you know that the entire argument for immigration is about white replacement, because as Matt Walsh stated, they're mad if you bring in whites because that goes against their plan, which is to bring in non-white people and then replace the population. Now, that being said, our Deputy Secretary of State greeted the first flight of South Africans. Check this out.
The Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security and I just met with this first flight of South African refugees to arrive in our country pursuant to the President's executive order about certain egregious actions in South Africa. The President made it clear that Afrikaners in South Africa who were the victims of unjust racial discrimination would be welcome to come to the United States, and he's now delivering on that promise. The Deputy Secretary and I just spoke to some of the folks who arrived on this flight, and they tell quite harrowing stories of the violence that they faced in South Africa that was not redressed by the authorities, by the unjust application of the law. The United States, as we were proud to say, stands for equal justice under law and the fair and impartial application of the law. And again, this is a group that has not experienced that and has, to the contrary, experienced violence. And
that is actually what the case is, right? That is genuinely what the problem is, that people are mad because they don't want white people coming into the United States. It's a very small, diaspora of Afrikaners, but there's an actual fight to remove white people, to lessen them in the nation. It's not even a hidden plan, right? It's a Kalergi plan. Like, these guys have been open and honest. The UN's resettlement agency plan, they want to replace us in our own countries. And I think Trump's doing this kind of as a middle finger back to them. But I have to ask you, when you see this video here like this, I'll put it on mute. But when you see these people, I mean, look, not one tattoo, just men who work stable jobs, who are not coming here for like job opportunities. Look at this. There's his wife. It kind of looks like, our executive producer's wife too. Just very, very, very nice looking individuals with kids waving American flags. You'll see Mexicans in America 3 generations later, and they're still waving Mexican flags, being like, La Raza, La Raza. And you're like, so do you like America or not? And these people are just calm and grateful. We need to stop lying about culture and being like, oh, all cultures are equal and everything, integrates equally. It's like, it's not true. That is not true, right? It's not true. It's diametrically, an untrue statement. So take that as you will, but I'm happy to have the Afrikaners here, minus the one fat guy. I'm just kidding. No, he can stay too. To the rest of you guys watching, don't forget that we have our mug club. You can grab your mug here at thegatewaypundit.com. You can join. It supports our mission to get independent media and journalism out while also giving you something to drink out of every day. I'm Elijah Schaffer. Have a great rest of the week, and may God bless the United States of America. I'm signing out.